welcome to Oh Brother, a podcast of three brothers trying to figure it all out, with your hosts Brandon, Collin, and Aaron. On this week's show, good news! Hello.
Yeah, hello.
How are you?
I am. Yes.
Good.
What are you? What are you? What are we in for Palpatine? Chancellor Palpatine? What is happening?
Oh, I don't know.
The Force is strong with you. Once more, the galaxy. What?
Hey, Brandon.
Hello.
Hi.
Collin,
Draw your lightsaber.
Okay.
Fulfill your destiny.
Okay, I'm just gonna go back on mute then, I guess. Bye.
Control. That's
Okay.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
What?
Yes. Hello. What's going on?
Nothing. Really? Shocking. Surprising. Whole lot of
I
nothing.
don't really see. It's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy.
What about you?
It's been a good week. Been so far. Been interesting. We're starting to get a little bit busier with some dogs. So as people are venturing out more and more, we are getting busier and busier, which is good. Still nowhere near where we were this time last year, but
Well, I mean, yes. But
it'd be kind of scary, I guess, if we were. But
yeah, that'd be weird. That'd be
yeah,
definitely unexpected.
So that's been good. But one of the side effects of this is, I don't know if we talked about it here or not, but one of my projects, since we didn't have any dogs, was to get a nice backyard grass growing.
Yes.
And how'd that work?
Yeah. Well, now we've got amazing grass, and now I have another project is to keep that grass nice, and it's almost as it's
Oh
like,
my gosh,
it's like now
he's turning into dad.
now I
Yeah,
don't wanna lose
right.
it.
That's what the descent continues, right?
It does. It
Mhm.
really
into dadness. Like, oh my gosh, the yard, the grass. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
He's
So
gonna
now,
have someone out
'cause it's
there
like
about once a month fertilizing it and stood off the grass, keep the dogs off the yard.
yeah. So
Yeah.
no, I got
Do you like freak out if you see a dandelion and like?
So we
someone
don't have
drives.
don't have any dandelions. If somebody is
Yet.
driving in my backyard, something has gone horribly wrong. That's all I'll say.
Listen,
Dandelion.
it's fine. Aaron's gonna drive by your house and just blow dandelions at your house.
Well,
And
then
just
part of this too is we worked so hard on our backyard that now I walk out and I see our front yard and I'm like, oh, well, this doesn't look nice either.
Wow. Take that, front yard.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like,
No
well,
one cares about you, the yard that
let's go.
people see.
I know. And I was going, why didn't I do that? Because it would be the easiest one because nobody walks on it. It gets a lot more sun. And I was
It's
like,
smaller.
It's smaller. This was really not well thought out.
I mean, now you like know how to do it because you did the bigger one first. So it'll be easier this way.
I guess.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
It's fine.
Oh man. So that's yeah, so it's been fun. And I'm going to meet up with Kyle and Kevin tomorrow to go hike some property that
Oh right, the wood.
the wood that they may be getting, so it'll be fun.
There you go.
In the pouring rain.
Yes, it is supposed to. It's raining here now. Spoilerinos. So
Mhm.
it's already going to be.
It's going to be real damp.
Very damp.
I have
Very
muck
soggy.
boots, so
Your socks are going to be soggy.
yeah. Well,
Mm.
and we were like, well, we could. I really wanted to try and go today, but there was some scheduling stuff, and I really wanted to go today because it's going to rain like for the next week and a half.
Yes.
And so and Kyle and Sam were like, well, we've got a babysitter all lined out. We don't want to cancel. And I was like, look, I get it. I'm fine with going. It's just we're gonna get wet, just so everyone is made abundantly clear.
Yeah,
Fair.
just so you know.
There's no getting out of this not soaked. Like,
Yeah,
it's
just as long as
not
you're
happening.
aware of that fact,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Oh, so yeah, it's been kind of fun.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron, you been doing anything?
Just honest, like just lots of work. I had a late one yesterday, and so my my sleep schedule's kind of a little thrown off. But I was about working on that until about 10, and
Huh.
so
All right.
that yeah. So I honestly just been working like all the time. So
That's right.
this is I'll be off of call Monday. Um, so hopefully
Oh,
it won't
okay.
be as crazy. Everything will be back to normal. But I kind of got a little slammed this week with work. So I'm just like, this is fine. I'm fine. This is good. Yeah, just I mean work and work, and then some relaxing this weekend. But I got to work some more, and then Shelby's coming back tomorrow, so I got to from down south, and so
Oh yeah.
I gotta. I mean, everything I've been picked up, but like I said, that fern has caused
Taking over.
more damage, and so I had to re-vacuum a lot of things.
I know.
But other than that, that's honestly all I've been doing.
Hmm.
It's just
Nice.
craziness.
Very nice. I've been doing nothing. Let's be honest. I've just been sitting at home. School is now officially over, so like, and now I really have nothing to do. Like,
Oh no.
like, dude, to do. Okay, just sitting now.
Were they doing any summer school programs or any word on that?
They are going to. So they have decided that June 1st through the 26th, I think, is going to be summer school. But that's all the information that I know currently. I don't know. They have no idea how many. That's what Susan was working on all week this week, was trying to get like figured out who would want to come, how many, so they know what grades, teachers, and everything would want to. In the informal survey, a very small number of people said yes, summer school sounds like a great idea.
Not surprising.
So if they have it, it sounds like it's gonna be quite limited, because they'll still have it, because they'll, that they still want to have, because they can serve lunch all through summer school,
Mhm.
right? The program that we have for lunches is kind of the same, an extension of what they had been doing anyway. Is anybody under the age of 18 can come get lunch at school during summer school.
Okay.
Right. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. You can just come and get lunch. So that's one of the reasons they want to have some summer school, right? I don't know. Other than that, I don't know. Usually our summer school, like kindergarten, first grade, pretty full. After that, meh. Like, eh. So I don't know exactly what the rest of it looks like, other than they are planning on having summer school. But I haven't heard anything else about how many people, what's gonna be. So don't know.
Yeah, that's not a decision that I would want to be tasked with trying to make. I mean, because
Yeah.
that's just, so much is.
Yeah. I know they were
tied up
trying
with
to like figure out how much like outdoor class they can have, because we have lots of areas outside school where people could go, okay, this class can go outside over here, this class can go outside over there. But like you were talking about, June is very rainy. And so that that would be a problem. So we'll just, I don't know exactly the plan. So we'll see. More to come. If one of my friends works it, I'll let you know, because they didn't ask me. I don't usually work summer school anymore. So like they have a list, right? Because there's a certain group of people that like always wants to work summer school. So they are on the like they like get asked first list, right?
Oh, right.
For the last, I used to work all the time as like an aide, because that was really
Right.
fun. I liked working
Right.
as an aide. So I always worked as an aide. But ever since I became a teacher, I stayed away from summer school. I don't really have a need for somebody that wants to teach older kids. One year they're like, "Hey, we have an opening in second grade," and I was like, "You know what? I'm real busy all of a sudden, and I can't."
Got bamboo to shove underneath my fingernails all
God,
summer long.
I don't really like the small children. So like there was one year they're like, "Hey, we have a second grade opening." I was like, you know, I'll substitute for you. And that'll be like, so they call me, I've substituted, like I subbed a student last year, a couple days, went in, did some subbing stuff. So that was nice, but the rest of it's kind of not very exciting. So especially if it's first graders or second graders, I'm out. Nope. That'll start. That's supposed to start June 1st. But we'll see what that looks like when that happens. So, but the other bonus is they should have already been like doing my classroom. So it should get done earlier than normal. So maybe I can go in there at some point and start like doing stuff, like getting it put back together, kind of doing just like basic planning things for next year, getting the like sequence set out for the first month or so, just so that's done. Not to worry about it. Since last year was my first year, it was kind of like, or my first year in sixth grade, rather. I was kind of like, what are we gonna do next? This, like, and so I have like a billion notes laid out of like what I did, what was good, what was totally abort that mission, don't ever do that one again, right? So I'm gonna go through my first unit and be like, okay, these are all the things I did, kind of lay them out in order. Like, is this order good? Was this bad? Do I need to shift it around a little bit? Stuff like that, especially for social studies, because the science stuff went pretty good. I kind of know what was good on that already, because I already did some work on that. But the social studies one, I gotta be like, oh, okay, let's cut this out, let's add this, let's make this better, like that kind of stuff. So I need to do that kind of thing. All that's on my school computer and everything. So someday I'll get to go back in there and mess with that, clean up my room, because they for those of you who don't know, at the end of every school year, basically they take all the junk out of my classroom. They come in and they strip the floor, clean everything, and then like wax seal the floor again. Like every year they do this to keep the tile fresh, to keep everything clean, and everything. So this year with oh, by the way, school's out tomorrow. I didn't really ever have any time to like clean my room at the end of the year. Let's be honest. That is a vague term when it comes to me anyway. But like this year, more so than ever, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna just take all this stuff and throw it on top of this shelf that I know is not going anywhere. Ta-da! So I have things like thrown everywhere. So I need to go and go in and like get it back down.
Did they ever? What did you ever do with all those rocks that you had? Did those get squirreled back away and taken care of?
Some of them did. The rest of them I took outside and put them in the creek.
Oh,
back to
you
where they-
released them back to their
Yeah,
natural habitat.
I released them back to their natural habitat.
Good. That's. I was going to say the Department of they do have regulations on how those.
Yes. Yeah. So we kept them inside for a while on that huge paper, right? Some of the kids were like, "Hey, can I take this little rock home?" I was like, "Yes, go." The parents were like, "Why did my kid ever?" They like geology. Okay, it's great. They love it. So, yeah, the rest of them I repatriated out to the stream out front. So, I do need to go out to that stream because there's a whole bunch of stuff where we talk about like sediment, and the kids have like they always have this confused look on their face when I'm talking about sediment. And so I have some collection jars, and that little creek down there has just like tons of sediment in the bottom of it. So I just need to go out there and just scoop it out a little bit so I can have some. And I have jars. That was one of those things I was going to do at the end of the year. And then they were like, "You're going home." Like, okay. So that didn't quite get done. So collect sediment. Another thing I need to do on my list. Just for demonstration things, just so we can have stuff to look at and talk about. Other than that, this week I've been sitting at home playing video games. That's it. That's right. That is all.
Like not a bad week.
I mean, it's not, but
No,
it's just like, okay. My sleep schedule, man. Oh my gosh, what is sleep? What is happening?
Oh no,
what is happening in my life? I can't.
It's bad.
Yeah,
bad.
Some days I'm just like sitting here. It's like 2:30 in the morning. I'm like,
oh no.
Well, dang it.
that takes a while to get back. That's the other thing too.
It's really whenever I have to go back in August and they're gonna be like, "Hey, come in the first day of school at 7:00." I'm gonna be like, "Oh no." Dead. Physically incapable of moving. Like, oh no. So that's been a little rough, but trying to get that. Just at this point, I'm just like, well, there's nothing to do, nothing to fight it. I might as well just. And then, of course, the dog alarm at like 5:00 in the morning is like, "Guess who needs to go to the bathroom?" I'm like,
You did get the memo that I didn't plan very well for this.
Yeah, Chuck, what are you doing? Come on, man.
Yeah.
Well, old dogs got to do what they got to do, so you got it's all good.
Yeah. We're sitting our oldest dog. Her name is Jules. She is a Beagle mix, and she is 16.
Oh man.
Yes, and she's real tiny because she's a Beagle, like a mix, and everyone thinks she's a puppy. And I'm like, if you would watch how she walks in this very stilted,
stiff leg,
I am old and tired. They're like, "Oh, how what a cute little puppy," and I'm like,
They say that about Chuck too, because it's a size thing. He's not a very big boy.
Yeah.
So like, I'm like, "Oh, look at the cute little puppy." I'm like, he's cute. Got that part right.
Sure.
And he's little, but he's old man dog. So it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah, we were for work, some fun stuff. We've been
shining your hog boots.
No, I saw that email and I clicked delete really fast.
I read what you were talking about the other week. I read an article online that the Missouri Conservation Department they're doing a survey about bear season.
Mm-hmm.
They're all like, "Hey, people that live south of I-44, mostly.
Yeah. Do you have a gun? Are you interested in shooting something new?"
Yeah. That was very interesting. Like, they were like, "Oh, it was all these numbers about bear population." And some of the numbers I went, "Oh, I didn't. That's the bigger number than I thought it was going to be."
Oh,
okay.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, that's the thing. It's a lot. It's not like huge, but you're like, oh, Okay. Well, there we go.
Well, yeah, but it will be soon because that is an apex predator,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, there's nothing else that's going to hunt a bear,
Sure.
right?
Well,
All
fortunate, yeah. And it's what's unfortunate
Bigger
is that they just don't
bears. That's
is
what-
that they just don't have a lot of deer or anything to eat or
Yeah.
berries in the.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
only Missouri had an extreme problem with deer
With
overpopulation.
deer.
Oh,
Oh
wait.
wait.
Do you have that?
So
Whoopsie-daisy.
I have this is going to go off in a couple like rants.
Oh, I love it.
But
That's what this
but-
whole show is about.
It's real.
That's what people tune in for.
That is what people tune in for. So
Random topic.
No, I'll just start with the first one. The legislation just adjourned. Legislative session just ended as far as like budgets and stuff for the year. Guess how much the government, the Missouri government, approved for the Department of Conservation to spend on land acquisitions?
$0.
No,
Oh, all right.
$1.
What?
What?
$1.
Why do you even do that?
I don't think they are legally allowed to say $0.
Oh, they
and I
have to.
think
They have to allocate something.
I think otherwise it was meant as a very clear like shot across the bow of probably next time it'll be 0. But there are some of our wonderful Missouri representatives that view the department buying land as government interference and
Oh, right, of course.
and impeding on locals' rights to do what they want with their land. So
What?
Yeah. which is very frustrating because that's like the best way to perform conservation is to buy land and conserve it. And so, and amongst many other things that came down the pipe with the department and the legislation, they were not nice to the department this year. Mostly they're punishing them because of hogs, and they're trying to really cripple the department for everything that they're trying to do with hogs.
Like killed them.
Well, but remember what we talked about. People don't like that, and they think the department is doing a money grab for this, and that it's all a farce, and it's not science based. And so,
If they were doing a money grab, they would have held a lottery, said $500, enter for unlimited hog culling ability.
right,
Get your ticket now. Right. That's what they would have done. If they were doing a money grab, they would have been like, hey.
They would not have done, okay, 3/4 of the department is going to do work on hogs, and we will spend all of our money on hogs.
Yeah.
That's not.
They wouldn't be spending money.
Because
They would be
that's
trying
not
to
how-
make it.
People don't understand how the budget works. Like when you get federal grant money, you don't get to pocket that. Like that's a tit for tat thing.
you have to use
show
it.
that well, most of the time you have to show that you've already spent it
Well, yeah.
to get reimbursed for it.
Because otherwise they don't like that. They don't.
Right. It becomes it's a net zero, and which is so frustrating to
Yeah.
people who don't understand how those programs work. It's not here's $1 billion. Let me know if you
have.
need more. Right.
Yeah.
No.
To just like
It's
look at
they
Scrooge
account
McDuck
it.
away.
Yeah, they account by hour what you're doing when you're doing that stuff. And
Yeah.
which means you as the employee are getting paid for that, and the department is only reimbursed for that money that they've
Yeah.
paid you for equipment that they have to buy, replace, get new, whatever. Like it's a net zero, and yet people think, oh, they're making out. They look at this, $10 million grant or whatever they got. Look at that, the money that they're getting, because they're spending that much. Like, don't you?
Yeah.
No,
That's
you don't. And so there's some people that just don't understand funding, which is crazy because they sit on the House budget committees for the state, which is
well. Let me tell you a little something about committees. Certain committees that nobody wants to be on,
Mhm.
and they just have to be like, you committee.
Right.
And so you get these people in the committees that are like, what is this? Where am
Right.
I? What is happening?
Well, and so there's
that's how they work in some areas. Like there's like one guy that he's been on it for a million years. He's like really likes it and stuff. And there's like 5 other people that just showed up because they needed more than one person on the committee.
right.
And they're like, you committee. And they're like, what is this?
But see, I don't get that feeling of people who are on house committees, like
I don't know.
budget
Some of them are.
maybe, but I just
Or they go, I need to be on a committee because I have to be resume building at literally all times because I
must
have to.
be.
Yeah.
I guess.
Blah blah
Yeah.
blah. Constituent. Blah blah. Blah. Like I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, but we got like the most defeated email from our oh gosh, what's her name? Our director about the legislative session. I mean, it was just like one thing after the other of like bad news and where all things they're trying to do, and it's just, again, I don't understand people's mindsets for that.
I don't understand the mindset of people in the government that say things like, you don't need government. Wait. Right. That's like their whole thing. Like, you don't need government telling you what to do. Okay, then what are you doing?
What are you doing? Right. Well, I'm here to tell the
person
government
in the government.
Right.
Oh, so you like that weird feedback loop that happens is sometimes like really confusing, and I don't know if anybody else sees that, but like there is it's like government's bad, you don't need government, and these are people in the government telling you that, like, but that means that your job is bad. But then you want me to elect you to your job. You don't make any sense right now. You know that, right?
Only way. When I say government's bad, I mean the other way.
All
the
government,
other people
not me.
do it.
Yeah.
But when I'm in government's good.
Right.
And you're like, that's a dictatorship. I see, right? That's where you start going, I'm the only one who knows how to run this around here. I am the only one who knows how to good. If everyone just did exactly what I said, we'd be fine. Like, that's a little bit different government structure.
There are certain people in the government where you go, okay, let me just play out this end game. All right. If we take this all the way out to the natural conclusion, that's ridiculous, right? Like, stop it. What are you doing?
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. That would just have been. Oh, when I saw that news, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Because there are lots, like, what people don't understand, again, is that it's not like that money that we use to purchase goes to purchasing conservation easements so people can keep their farms, right? So there is a situation down in Douglas County right now where someone has a big, massive stream crossing going across part of Bryant Creek, and they are losing tons of like yards and yards and yards of a hay field upstream of it.
Yeah.
So we have said, hey, the way we were going to approach this was, hey, look, if you are willing to set 100 feet back from that stream and plant trees into an easement, we can come in and actually buy that easement from you, so you get payment for that land, and we will pay for the crossing to be replaced. Now, the only way we can do that is if we have money in land acquisition.
Yeah, to buy
So this person, now we have to go to and say, the people who think they know better said that we aren't supposed to spend money on buying land because it's bad. So you have to bye to your field. Right. And it's like those kind of situations, because all people think of is the department expanding conservation areas. That's all they think about. All they think about it is buying another tract of land to add to a conservation thing. And which, again, I'm obviously on board on, and I think that's great. They don't see those kind of smaller transactions that take place, and that gets really like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard when you have a state that is like all like 1,000,000,000% agriculture, right?
Mm.
Like, I mean, that's
Oh my gosh.
that's just
Oh,
what it is in Missouri. Even though you don't think about Missouri as being a big agriculture state because it doesn't really
right.
fit the mold of like an Indiana or an
Nebraska.
Iowa,
Right.
Nebraska, right? The farms are not as large,
Yeah.
right? There's a lot of smaller, more numerous. I mean, until you get to southeast Missouri, and then,
Sure.
like,
I mean,
good
but
gravy, those are enormous.
farming in the farming hay in the Ozarks, yeah, looks
I mean,
very
yeah,
different than anywhere else, and
yeah,
it's
and that is technically a farm
that
because
is a farm,
that's a
and
crop that
it's
people need.
big money. And
Well,
don't
it
get me
is,
started.
and
Oh my
it's
gosh,
important though
oh,
because there was a few years ago, like when it was a couple of years ago, it was real droughty, right? And droughts for a couple years in a row. Hay, there was no hay.
right,
People could not feed cattle. It was not
right.
like, you
Yep.
couldn't do it. There was no
It was
hay
big.
because there was one cut maybe,
Right.
and it was bad,
And what?
and so there was no,
Oh, speaking of speaking of farms, the wonderful Missouri Farm Bureau, which is just an interesting organization,
they really are.
released a video this week saying that one of the biggest problems facing landowners, which they mean farmers in Missouri,
Yes, they always
is stream bank erosion. And I was like, oh,
I mean, that's
I
true.
deal with stream bank erosion. Okay, let's hear what your video has to say. And they starting back because of the Clean Water Act, we were no longer able to do the practices that we used to do, and so now our banks are eroding faster and more frequently, and we're losing ground, and so we need to be able to do the practices that we used to do and maintain and get our land back. Do you want to know how people used to treat streams?
Yes, please
Okay.
just go ahead
So
and
if there's
tell
a
me
stream
about the concrete that you just used to dump in there and say, look, it's done now.
They used to do concrete. They also do what we called Detroit riprap, whereas they would use aircraft carrier cable to string old cars together.
Yes, I've seen that.
The specs that you did this did not say whether you were supposed to drain any fluids from them or not, and I guarantee you nobody did. And you would drive pikes deep into the stream bank and lay the string of cars.
I've seen pictures of that. A bunch of old. I saw pictures of. It was old cars from like a junkyard that had been like half crushed, and they were flipped. They were on their roofs
on the
slammed into the stream bank. So they were at like this just ungodly angle, like a 55-degree angle, like implanted in the side of this bank, and then like cable.
Yep, they used to do that.
Man, you know what I want in my water? All that iron and heavy metals from the rusting car.
Hey, they're natural. They came from the earth, from dust to dust. They also
you know what else is natural?
What?
Arsenic.
Well, see,
mercury.
I think
yummy.
I think that you just need to have a more holistic idea.
That's my comeback to all the people that say, "Oh, it can't be bad for you because it's natural." I say, "Oh,
right.
Mercury is natural."
Right. They also you would go. So if you stand on a stream bank, over time streams wiggle back and forth across their floodplain. That's natural, right? They wiggle. However, if you're a farmer, that means that in your lifetime, the stream never like comes and goes. It typically just comes towards you
or goes away. Yes, it only goes in one direction. Yes.
So if you're a farmer and the stream's coming towards you, what do? You go, well, I've got a tractor and I've got a plow, so I'm just going to move the channel back over to where it was before.
Yeah.
And you just keep straightening the channel over and over and over and over again, which actually increases erosion and increases sedimentation.
Because that dirt is now disturbed
and moving somewhere else.
It's been aerated. So there is air pockets in there that make it more susceptible to being carried away by a river.
Right. And do they ever plant trees after they do that? No. They just put rock or grout. That's a favorite. Is just grout directly on dirt. And then the other thing that they talked about was that well, we can't get in and remove the gravel, and it's the gravel that's building up in the streams, and then the water can't go anywhere, and blah blah blah. And it's like, I understand what you're trying to say here, but the
you know the
gravel's-
water moves that gravel, right? It just goes.
yes, the
right.
water moves the gravel, right? And actually, the gravel that we're seeing in our streams right now are the result of all of the logging in the Ozarks that happened 120 years ago.
Yeah, it was like
Not
late
because-
1800s. You know?
Not because of anything that happened 10 years ago or anything else. All the gravel, like, our listeners will have no idea what this is, but next time we're at Dad's property, go down into the ravines and see all the rock that's there. It'll take about 120 years for it to reach all the way down into the main channel of the Finley. And because Dad's way up in that watershed.
I was gonna say, so our dad's house is probably 4 miles from the Finley River.
Yeah.
Is that accurate? If you go down that
linear.
road, well, yeah, I mean 4 linear miles, 4 river miles. That number is going to be bigger
Considerably,
because that creek goes a weird way around. But it's, I mean, if you were to go straight shot, you're probably 4 to 5 miles from the Finley River.
Mm-hmm. And all that water, all that stuff that's way up in the tops of the watershed, way up in those high fingers, it takes a long time for that to reach the main channel. And effects that happen in the channel take a long time to reach way up into those tributaries. And so the results that we're seeing right now are the results of bad management practices 100 years ago. And all of the interim extreme grievances and pillaging that's happened to the landscape since then. It just keeps piling on top of one another. So to say, all of this happened because of that darn Clean Water Act.
Yes.
It's like,
let me farmers, I have a story for you. Let me tell you the story of Monette, Missouri. Okay. Here is the story of a town built in the late 1800s as a railroad depot. A town which runs next to Kelly Creek. So the town said, man, this creek sure is nice, but it's kind of in the way of our railroad track. And so they moved the creek bank, right? They moved the creek channel to the south of the railroad track. And then they put in Broadway Street, the main street, downtown Monette, Broadway, runs right through there. They did this 100 years ago, right? What has a tendency to happen, especially a few years ago, it floods. So it rains, Kelly Creek goes over its banks, and it goes to where it used to be.
Right.
Which is right in the middle of Broadway.
Yeah.
And this road gets feet of water in it.
Well, and that's
because they were like, oh, this is in the way. Let's just move the creek over there. It'll be fine. Nope. Kelly Creek says, no, I don't want to be over there. I want to be here now. Sorry, Monette Times newspaper office. Boom. Flooded.
Goodbye again.
Yeah. So just now, they are doing a new thing where they are taking out stuff to the south of Broadway and like revitalizing it, naturalizing it, I guess. They're doing they're making it into more of a floodplain area and like planting stuff and kind of redesigning it, because over there now, because that was the heart of the old industrial. So it's like concrete slabs and brick buildings.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. So they're moving all that out.
Yeah.
And trying to rework this area, this big triangle of land, because the flooding down there is so bad. And the erosion on that new bank, if you go look at it, it's just like 6 feet of vertical, open, exposed dirt. Because that's just it just rips it out.
Yeah. And that's what people, it's counterintuitive in a lot of the ways of how streams and floodplains respond to human activity. But to boil it down to the simplest takeaway is just, the more monkeying you do with a stream, the worse your problem. Just ask the Army Corps what they have to do to maintain the Mississippi shipping channels.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
No.
just ask them, because they installed huge, you don't like 100-yard long wing dikes out into the river 100 years ago, 80 years ago, to rebuild whole swaths of land to narrow the channel so that it would self-scour. And now they've got to maintain that. And now that's one of the reasons why the flooding is so bad, is because they narrowed the channel of the Mississippi River so that it would be for shipping. It'd be a faster, swifter water to make shipping faster. And now you've got those flooding is the consequence of that. It's not because of anything else. Just straight up, like, we get more water more frequently, and we have more damaged channels than we ever had before.
Yeah.
And
well, they did that. They did the same thing in the Delta, right? In the Delta, they just went, oh, let's just cut this big straight channel.
Yeah. Straight
so
channel's
they cut these enormous, like, dead straight channels through the Delta.
Very well engineered straight lines.
Yes. Beautifully drawn straight lines. Euclid would be very proud. But the problem is, that means that all the seawater just comes straight up the channel, and it just kills all the vegetation. Dead. So now the tertiary thing you have to deal with now is all of that very lively, dense, lush vegetation was a naturally occurring hurricane break.
Yeah.
Right. And now it's all dead, and it's just flat ground between the hurricane and, like, towns.
Everything.
Like, absolutely nothing to slow flood surge or anything. Just like blap, done.
Right.
Like,
well, and part of that too, I mean, most of us have experienced this. If you have a hose and it's all spread out and you turn it on full blast, what happens to the very end of it as the water comes out? It waves back and forth.
Yeah.
Right. That's what the Mississippi does in the Delta. What used to go back and forth, constantly depositing the sediment that you're going to show your students into the Delta, continually growing and expanding. It's not doing that anymore. And so the Delta is shrinking in size as sediment is no longer being able to make it through the whole area.
Yeah.
And so, you get, and I was just earlier in the year, I was reading an article about some of the last remaining French Creoles native there that lived on these islands.
Yes. They can't stay there anymore.
Finally having to evacuate because over like 70% of the land. And that's due to rising water. It's also due to land sinking because it's not being replenished, right? Like, you have both of these things are in effect at the same time.
Simultaneously, yeah.
So, it's fun. It's real fun. And those were my two big gripes. And that Farm Bureau one, it's just like, okay. So there. If you are enjoying listening to this show, share it with a friend. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter at Oh Brother Podcast. And if you want to see all of the links for this show and all the other ones, as well as full transcripts, I know, right? Visit ohbrotherpodcast.com for that and so much more. Anyway, hey guys, good news.
That's right.
The Dacia Sendero 2021 is coming out.
That's what you did there. All right.
Is that available for sale in the U.S.? Did you buy a new car too soon?
No.
Is that what you're telling me?
I think.
Are you telling me the pride of Romania, the Dacia Sendero, named for the Romania back the one of the tribes that lived there during Roman times was the Dacians, right? So they are native people to that area of Eastern Europe. So the Dacians inhabited that area. So that's one of the reasons. That's where that name comes from, the Dacia Sendero. Sorry, continue. Romania's pride, Dacia Sendero, James May's favorite car.
Jason, and our transition into this segment with my one of my leading news articles. It's from earlier in the year, but the 2021 Dacia Sandero has been spied in some snowy parts of Europe back in the winter, with possibly sporting a new tablet-like infotainment center, but I'm very sorry to inform you that it still has drum brakes in the back.
Wow.
Hey, you know, you got to keep costs down somewhere. If you're gonna have a tablet, what did you say? Infotainment center? Is that a word? Is that a word that you just came up with?
Tablet-like infotainment center, which is the most non-exciting way to describe a touchscreen in the middle of your car.
I think touchscreen is fine. I think infotainment.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that out loud kind of hurts me, right? I think
all
right.
Oh man.
Does it still come in brown?
You know, I don't think they've released.
Or did they like do that weird thing where they like camo wrap it in like a weird?
Yeah, it's the
like,
camo wrapped.
Is it
one that they were spying on, so you can't see it's new.
But you totally can see it. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Like
you're like, wow, I have no idea.
Toyota did that with the new Supra that came out.
Yeah.
Right? All these pictures that leaked online were like the new Supra, but it was like wrapped in like a weird black and white camo thing, and you're like, I could still see that. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
I know it's to like hide certain body lines and stuff, but like it just seems really goofy because it's like driving on a road and you're like, but that just looks silly. Like,
yeah, I mean, it shares some of the same underpinnings as the Clio, and I think we all know that the Clio is pretty cool in a hatchback. So,
also not available in the U.S. due to emission standards, I believe.
It's pretty it does not meet our emission standard.
Which is the French are like, no, we don't.
Why would I be bothered?
The Renault Clio. There we go.
Yeah. It's crazy to me to think that this has been made since the Dacia Sandero. For those of you listening who have no idea why this is funny, and I hate to explain the joke, but you know, inside jokes. Top Gear, James May, love Dacia. Good news, Sandero. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. It's crazy that this thing has been in production since 2007, and it's only on its third generation of model.
Hey, you know, you got to stick with what works.
You know, this is true.
Yeah,
this
is
true.
Volkswagen Beetle looked the same forever, so it's fine.
And I guess you know, Porsche 911 that does too. So
still looks the same, right? The Porsche 911 still, some would say, the first design iteration, right?
First design, still first generation. It's crazy.
Ferdinand going strong. Like, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yes. So, anyway, yeah. So what other kind of good news things did you guys have, or funny things that you've enjoyed?
Oh man. Hold on, let me pull it up here because I have one. Aaron, did you have one? Am I taking your turn?
No, you can go ahead and go.
Okay.
Mine weren't as extravagant as.
Oh, okay. All right. Listen up, Aaron. Did you know that Norway is set to excavate its first Viking burial ship in more than 100 years?
Hey.
Boom. So
what?
There is they generally don't like to do this, right? There are a few of these Viking ships in Oslo in the Museum of Cultural History. One extraordinary, like all close to perfectly preserved ship that you can go and look at.
Right. It's really cool.
So some of them, they're buried as part of funerary rites for Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
This particular one, who I can't quite remember where it is, the Gelstad Viking ship. There we go. That's my attempt at pronunciating a Norwegian word. They are going to excavate it starting next month in June.
Wow.
Right? So there's this big. They kind of notice that it is one of the big reasons they decide to excavate it is to quote this article, being ravaged by fungus. Right. So there's some fungus that have gotten to the wood finally after X number of years of being buried.
A bit.
Yeah. And they don't exactly know what time period this ship comes from. So that's another reason that they're kind of excited to excavate it. The last Viking ship that they actually excavated, I believe, was 1906
Dang.
or thereabouts. Okay, I could be slightly wrong on that date, but it was around that time, right? And the other two were before that, right? So late 1800s.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, 1868, 1880, and the last one was 1904. Excuse me.
Okay.
So this is the first time they're going to be excavating a ship using any sort of modern techniques.
That's insane to think about.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
So they're hoping that they can learn a lot about Viking ship design and kind of where this ship falls in the timeline, because like the design changes subtly over the years, you know what I mean? So there's a kind of like a typology of Viking ships, right? For a lack of a better term. So if you can place this ship somewhere, like based on the features that it has, like how is the keel, what's the, the draft look like, all that stuff, you can kind of place it in a timeline and get a fairly accurate representation of when this burial took place. Then also what else is in this burial, right? Because only super important people were buried with ships. So some sort of king, assumably, is there. Unknown other artifacts are in there as well. So they kind of want to dig this up to preserve it from fungal degradation, and also just to kind of learn more about that time period and just see what's down there. But I thought it was crazy that it's going to be the first one undertaken with any sort of modern archaeological digging at all.
Wow.
So there's gonna be some cool stuff. So they're supposed to be starting in June, right? The university's good to go in Norway. They're got everything laid out. So sometime in mid-June, this is supposed to happen. So
Do you still have the link to that?
I do. I'll share it in the text message.
Oh, sweet.
In a little while.
And I'll make sure that we include all of the things discussed in our show notes.
Yes, that's what I'll text them, so they have this. So
Yeah,
I had two articles that kind of say the same thing. One is from like Norway, and the other one is from like what is this, Gizmodo or whatever. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So I was kind of excited about that, and it's just something to keep an eye on, because I think trying to find the actual date that they said they were going to do it, but yeah, it's going to be soon. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's neat.
Looking forward to that. So we will continue to be updated on, it just says here in June. So on the new excavated ship in Norway, Viking ship in Norway. So boom, there we go. Nice.
Okay, that is good news.
It is good news. I think it's exciting news. I think it's cool.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah. I have one that's kind of weirdly in juxtaposition to that I just from one end to the other. So Aaron, what's yours? What are yours? I don't know. You can, Brandon. Did you have more?
I have another one if we have time. So
okay, sure. Aaron, Aaron.
I mean, my week has been absolutely chaotic with families and cases, and so I kind of had to look more eternally with some things that are good news. So they're not like worldly news by any means. They're not as extravagant as the Viking ships being oh, excuse me. Yeah, being excavated, or a Daisy Sandero. Mine's kind of more personal. The big one, Shelby's coming back after 2 weeks of being gone.
That's
and
exciting.
then And then I guess the other good news, I don't know if it's like good news, but it's just like it makes me happy, so that's all
There
that
you
really
go.
matters.
That is the number one
that is
classification for good news.
That is what this challenge was.
There was a new DLC that came out with a game that I truly enjoy for Warhammer 2 Total War.
Oh yeah.
So I literally like it came out literally today, and I
Nice.
was like, "Oh man, let's go!" And then I was working on a case late, and I was like, "All right, man, this is gonna be so cool!" And I literally just loaded it, and then I had to do this. So I got a chance to play like maybe
Sorry.
a
Feel
minute,
bad.
but I was like, "Oh man, it's out!
Jeez.
This is so cool!" And it's
But
like,
it's ready to go though.
Yeah.
yes,
It's
but
on-
my laptop is also
That's what's
very
important.
old, and so
It's
it
fine.
might take a wee bit.
It's fine. I liked it.
Yeah.
Loves
Likes to
Warhammer.
be exercised.
No, this is
Yeah,
good
but-
news. DLC and video games are very important, especially during this time.
Especially during this time.
That was my
Those are good news.
newsness.
This is good news. And the return of Shelby is always good news. It's
Yeah,
definitely good. So
so
excellent.
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Dang.
but those are all my newsies.
Good ones.
Yeah. I think my next and last one. It's just interesting that Brandon, you had the 100-year-old, the Viking ship, because mine was the actually in 6 days, SpaceX is launching NASA astronauts to the International Space Station, and it's the first time. It's the private industry's first manned. I think it's the first manned connection with the International Space Station. They've done unmanned drop
supply
offs of
runs.
supplies and cargo, but I think yeah, yep. So it's the launched the last time they traveled. Wait a minute. So 2011 was the last time they launched from Cape Canaveral in Florida, and where astronauts left from that. And now this time they're traveling on private companies between SpaceX and Boeing's joint venture with astronauts to the space station. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, because they've been going from Russia, right?
Yes.
All the American astronauts have been going up from Russia in those big Soyuz rockets. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So they've been this is the first time it'll be back on the U.S. soil, not being done by NASA, but NASA trained astronauts in private companies, equipment and machines, which I think is just fascinating and really cool, because space is awesome, and
that's true. It is.
This kind of stuff needs to be happening like more. And like I already know that there's a lot of work that goes into this, and these people but like on the scale of how long the timeline since we've been into space, it's just like every time something like this happens, it's so exciting that okay, now we're still doing this, we're still interested in these ventures, and it's worthwhile, I feel like, and just cool. So
I do too, mostly because of the cool factor, but
especially because my 4-year-old daughter wants to be a ballerina astronaut, so we need to get on this. Get on this, SpaceX. I have a little girl's dreams to help out here, and so more space missions.
Space ballerina. I like it.
That is right. That's what she wants to be, because it's fun to
imagine
dance in
how much you can twirl.
Yes.
Right?
Infinite.
Just infinite twirling. Twirling forever.
Right. And yeah, so that's something that made me happy. It was just funny.
No, that is cool, because there's a lot of cool things, especially that are like that are theoretically possible, but they're just too cost ineffective, right? Because as we know, everything comes down to cost. So like there's tons of stuff that is like theoretically possible that could happen, that could be going on, right? And it's just not, for a variety of reasons. People don't think there's value in it. People don't want to put the money in that area, right? So there's tons of really cool things, because in theory, we could be on 2 planets and a moon, like right now. Like we have technology available that we could do that.
We could if we
Right.
if we want to.
We could be on our moon, Mars, and Venus right now.
Right.
I mean, not on Venus necessarily, but
around.
There are some really cool. NASA has these plans. I don't know if you've ever seen these.
Right.
There are for basically what look like giant airships flying through the Venusian atmosphere because it's so dense.
Right.
There's
it's like
so
Cloud
much
City, I guess.
heavy. Yeah, exactly. Like Cloud City on Venus.
Yeah.
That's theoretically possible to happen.
Well, and so part of
How
why
cool
I
is
found
that?
part of why I found this news exciting is because this is one of the first. This is the first test, right, of a manned space from, with all the pieces put together. They've been testing the Falcon Heavy 9 rockets and all this stuff independently or whatever, doing payload runs, and now they're doing the manned crews. The Falcon 9 rockets are reusable, which is awesome because they can self land and all that stuff too, and
that's
cool
so
things.
wild. Every time I watch
Which
one of those things, oh my gosh, what the heck?
Insane. And so it really, like, if this can get off the ground and if this is successful, like, it just means there are going to be more of these because it's just getting easier and easier with each time. And so that those kind of Mars, moons, like those kind of things become okay. Now let's take that next step. Next step.
Well, because that's the next barrier, right? The first barrier is ease to getting out of atmosphere.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
The second thing that really holds it back is the speed at which you can travel in space.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like the technology that we have to do that is not like the best. Right. There are other theoretical things like ion thrusters and all these things that could work. We just don't have them because they're not tested and they're very expensive to develop that technology. So, but that would be the next thing is how do I get from here to the moon faster now? Right. How do I reduce that travel time through a variety of things? Right. Especially if you have like bigger craft that just stay in orbit and kind of act as shuttles between these things, and you use these other rockets, these lifting technologies to just get to the orbit to them, and then they go. So that way you have like you don't have to have one thing that does everything, right? Kind of makes it divide that workload and it makes it more efficient, really. That would be cool though, right? Spaceport, but come on.
Mm-hmm. What? So, yep, that was my last one there.
That's a pretty good one. Pretty good one. My last one, bringing it back a little more terrestrial for you, is the National Film and Sound Archive of Australia has just, I believe I saw this for the first time yesterday, discovered new unseen footage of Benjamin. Of course, Benjamin, the last known Tasmanian tiger in captivity.
Ooh,
so this is footage that is newly discovered, has been digitized with sound from September 7th, 1936.
Oh my
of
gosh.
him in the zoo in Hobart, Tasmania. Right. So this is the last known thylacine in captivity. He unfortunately died in captivity due to an accident. The door to his enclosure was not open, and it was too cold outside, and he died.
Oh.
Right. So this is how he died in captivity. The last known confirmed thylacine ever.
Yeah.
Right. Now, this is cool. Number one.
Yeah.
Because thylacines are very fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Right? They're extremely interesting. Not only because they're just like a cool animal, right?
Yeah, well,
like
to watch them move is just...
They're so weird, right?
Yeah.
They look so crazy. and this is just a 21-second clip. It's basically like part of a zoo tour documentary thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like 21 seconds on his enclosure, just checking him out. He's just pacing around, walking around back and forth, just seeing him walk and move and how he moves his head and stuff. It's so weird, right? So interesting. So it's just really cool. The other reason that thylacines continue to fascinate me is the fact that like every once in a while you hear these reports that people see them, right? And
Right.
it's just that animal that's like, I don't really buy into a lot of that other stuff, but like that one, you're like, maybe though, because part of me like desperately like wants it to be alive somewhere still.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
It's
not
just sad that
killed off.
it's just sad that it gets lumped in with the other cryptozoology of like of Bigfoot and all these other things of like.
No, we can
and
talk
the
about Bigfoot
thylacine.
another time. That episode is coming probably because I have some thoughts on that.
Oh no!
But
oh no!
but yeah, it is sad that it gets lumped in there because it was alive in 1936, right? We know it was alive, but we killed it because it was eating the sheep. They just killed them all,
right? Because they wanted sheep.
So, I mean, sheep ranching in Australia is big business, man.
Well, yes,
it's a big business.
It is.
Even back then, it's still big business now, right? So, but every once in a while, like there's universities in Australia that are like, hey, we're looking for it. You know what I mean? And so like, I don't know if it's because they're like, you know, and you would think that if a university was like spending money to go do that, that's like legitimate, right?
Right.
Like,
it's not
like, oh, you know, the University of Stanford is not going out looking for Bigfoot. I know that. But like
that we know of.
That's true. They might be. Who knows?
See?
But it's just cool. I just like to like read about people that go out and look for them. There's one guy that's actually going soon. The guy that found the tortoise last year, what's his name? The tortoise in the Galapagos Islands that hadn't been seen in like forever.
The last one?
Yeah. Him. He's going to look. And actually he's going, I think I saw somewhere he's going to northern Australia and possibly like Borneo. Because a long time ago that was connected, right? So going up in there, checking it out. So Australia's a big empty place, man. So maybe somewhere.
You know, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Oh man, I'd forgotten about the Fernandian giant tortoise.
Yeah.
And the guy's name was Wako Tunia or Tapia or something. I don't know.
That's not who I was thinking of.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. Yeah, what's this guy's name? Forrest Galante. That guy.
Okay. Yeah.
He is going.
I gotcha.
Right. He's the grandson or something of the dude that rediscovered the coelacanth.
Oh, really?
I believe that's accurate. I might be, you know, that might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere that that's him. He's related to that guy. So, yes, his grandfather, Gerald Summerfield, was involved in the guy that was involved in proving that was still alive. So he's got you know, he does this kind of thing all the time for fun, right? It's what he does. Goes and looks for extinct animals. He's going to do that. So who knows?
That's exciting.
Who knows?
Excited
but
for this.
I am too. I just like those because that's one of those things that you see because other like animals are like, oh no, dude, look at this. You look at the picture and you go, dude, that picture is terrible.
Right.
Get out of here. What are you looking at?
Yeah.
I've seen some pictures that like Australian bushmen have taken of like an alleged Tasmanian tiger, and you kind of go,
right. Yeah. He's going, well, I was going to dismiss that outright, but can't quite do that. So
I mean, they're a very distinctive animal. And so
Mhm.
like
They are.
sometimes there are some pictures where you go, there's no way you can actually tell what that is, right?
Mhm.
But there's a
Mhm.
couple that I've seen that this make me kind of go, eh, okay,
Okay.
got me interested. I'm intrigued now. Okay, I wasn't before, but now I'm in. Right.
I am.
So
Hmm.
this is just more. Number one, it's kind of it's just cool, right?
Yeah.
That there's a
Neat.
new footage of a thylacine around.
Right.
Um, who knows? There could be more old footage out there somewhere waiting to be found of these
Well,
in zoos somewhere.
right, and that's the thing of the what's so cool about archives is that they keep stuff around. What's not so cool about archives is that surfacing that stuff is really
it's so hard, right?
Is really
It's in a box somewhere, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and I mean I got to taste a little bit of that when I was doing research when I was down in Texas and I visited the Texas Natural History Collection and I was taking photos and like they're trying to digitize their fish uh uh um they're trying to
catalog or
digitize,
whatever.
yeah, their fish catalog, their fish specimen, and but just like, how do you even start whenever you have 300 plus
Like
thousand
billion
fish in jars, right?
just
Because
everywhere.
you like, okay, this jar is only 12 ounces of liquid, but it's got 700 juvenile whatever in it, spotted bass, and you're like, oh, well, this is gonna take a while. So yeah, so one of my things of like, okay, thank you for letting me come down here and use your facility and your really nice camera. In kind, I will, instead of just photographing the specimen that I want, I will photograph all of the specimen for the species
In this
that
area,
you
yeah.
have. Yeah, right. So that's what I did. I was down there for a week and I just 8 hours a day took photos of fish for a whole week.
Ooh. Ooh. Oh boy.
Yeah, it was, which was, again, it was fine, and they needed it, and I
Yeah, they
needed
do
it,
need
so
it, and so
it
might
was
as well
just.
do it because if you need
But
it
you think
again.
of places like the Smithsonian that
Oh
have
my gosh, that's so.
who knows? They don't even know what
They don't
have.
even know.
Right.
They have warehouses offside of that place or whatever. They have storerooms, and they have no idea what's in there.
Right.
Right.
Right. And who would have thought to have looked in the National Film and Sound Archive of Australia for a thylacine clip? Right.
Yeah.
Like, right. So,
And there were at one point in lots of other zoos like around the world.
mhm.
So there could be video archives of footage of that in the Smithsonian.
Right.
It's in
Yeah.
some cardboard box.
Yeah.
Right. It's like end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Right. It's what
Right.
that's what I'm imagining right now.
Well,
Like
and
there's
then
just a big box
'cause
somewhere, and there's an 8mm
yeah, because someone goes,
reel.
okay, well, just go search for it. Okay, well, in order to search for that, you have to in real time rewatch the video clips. Like, you just have to do that. There's no way to automate that. You just have to press play and sit and cross your arm and take notes about what you see on this film.
Yeah,
and
well, I mean that's how you have to digitize it, right? You just have to play it
in real time.
Run it through the thing in real time.
Right, it's exactly what they do. And then it's just like, so. I even know the department is desperately trying to do that of pull a lot of their slides and a lot of their old footage and get it digitized and archived. And so they have one archivist in Jeff City that's all they do. They're not even restoring stuff. They're just trying to capture.
I mean that comes
right
next,
now.
right? You got
yeah.
Or that you have to set that stuff aside. Like this stuff is messed up. We'll put it over here for now. We'll like preserve it the best we can in its current state, and then we'll have to come back to it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Kind of triage it almost. So hopefully somewhere more Tasmanian tiger footage.
More to come.
Right. More to come.